This is a story called The Little Monsters, Chapter 58, Kicker's little sister goes missing. It's September, excuse me. It's September and all the gang's youngest siblings have just started school a couple of weeks ago. Every day they meet the gang after school so that they can walk home together. However, one day when they met Kicker's little sister, Ivy, who had just turned 5, decided that she didn't want to walk with them. When everyone else was walking in front of her, she decided to hide behind a car. She waited until everyone had gone and then she started walking home on her own. As she was walking, she spotted a park and decided to go and play for a bit. However, there were 2 entrances to the park, and when little Ivy had finished playing, she set off to go home, but she left the park through the wrong entrance. When Kicker arrived home, her mum said to her, "Kicker, where's Ivy?" "She's right behind us, Mum," said Kicker. "She's not there, Kicker," said Kicker's mum. "But she was right behind us, Mum. She was playing with her skipping rope," said Kicker. Then she started to cry, "Wah, wah, wah." "It's okay, don't get upset, sweetheart. I'm sure your sister will be fine," said Kicker's mum. As soon as they'd taken the little kids home, they all set out looking for little Ivy. Excuse me. But no one could find her. Ivy just kept playing with her skipping rope, thinking that she was going the right way home. After a while, Ivy realised that she was lost, and she decided to go back the way she'd come. She got more lost. She started to cry as she was really scared. She didn't know what to do, so she kept walking and walking, but the more she walked, the more lost and scared she became. Then she saw a park and she thought it was the one she'd been playing on, but she knew it was a different one once she got to it. She decided to keep walking, and after a while she thought she saw her street, but it was a different one. She just kept walking and walking. Her parents called the police. Kicker was just constantly crying and blaming herself. Her parents constantly told her that she wasn't to blame and that they'd find her. Ivy just walked and walked despite being exhausted. Then she saw some shops, but when she got to them they were all closed. By this time it was very dark, and she was becoming more and more scared and tired as time went by. All she wanted was to go home to her mummy and daddy. Despite this, she continued to walk. Then she found another park and she decided to lie down on the bench and sleep. When she woke up, it was morning, and she set off walking again, hoping that she'd be home with her mummy and daddy soon. Again, the more she walked, the more lost she became. She didn't know what to do or where to turn. The search party were constantly searching for her, but no one could find her. Ivy just kept walking and crying. Kicker was still constantly crying and blaming herself. After Ivy had been walking for quite some time, she saw a car that looked like her mummy's car, and she ran after it shouting, "Mummy, Mummy!" However, the car wasn't her mummy's, so she kept walking and walking until it became dark again. Then she found some more shops and she sneaked in one and hid in the storeroom. However, the next day was Sunday and the shop didn't open on Sundays, and the next day was Bank Holiday Monday, so she was locked in the shop storeroom the whole time. The next day Ivy sneaked out of the shop as soon as it opened without being seen. She set off walking again and she kept on walking, hoping that she would be home soon. Once again, the more she walked, the more lost, scared, tired and upset she became. Then she found another parade of shops, and she sneaked in one. She sneaked in one, hid in the storeroom and slept. The next morning, as soon as the shop opened, she managed to sneak out without being seen. That day, she walked and walked for ages, but this time, she ended up in the middle of nowhere. Sometime later, a car pulled up, but she got really scared and ran down the grass embankment. Her parents had drilled it into her about not getting into cars with strangers. As she ran down the grass embankment, she lost her footing, slipped, fell down a hole and broke her leg. She cried out for help, but no one heard her or saw her. She was hurt, she was crying, and she kept trying to get out of the hole, but she couldn't because it was too deep and her leg hurt too much. She kept crying out for help, but no one came. She was trapped down the hole for a few hours, and then she somehow managed to almost climb out, but she slipped and fell back in. The police, her parents, and everyone was looking for her. Then, as luck would have it, someone heard her crying out for help. They went over and pulled her out of the hole. As they did so, they could see that her leg was broken. One of the police officers got on their radio to let everyone know that they'd found her and that she was safe, but her leg was broken. She was reunited with her parents, and then with them by her side, she was rushed to hospital. Her leg was reset and put in plaster, and she had to stay in hospital for 2 days. While she was in hospital, Kicker and the gang visited her as often as they could. Excuse me. After little Ivy had been in hospital for a day, she kept crying and screaming in pain every time she moved. Doctors decided to x-ray her leg again. Before they did, she said, "Mummy, it's not my poorly leg that hurts, it's my arm that hurts." Her mummy told the doctors what she'd said, and they x-rayed her arm. It turned out that she had a slight fracture and they dressed it up. She had to stay in hospital for a couple of extra days, but she wasn't bothered because her family were spoiling her rotten. It also gave the gang loads of opportunity to play pranks on people. They put whoopee cushions on the visitors' seats, and when they sat on them, they deflated, making a loud farting noise. This caused all the kids and the visitors on the ward to laugh. Then they went into the corridor to the nurses' station and put whoopee cushions on the nurses' seats. When they sat on them, they deflated, making a loud farting noise, and thankfully they saw the funny side. The next day, the gang went to visit little Ivy straight after school, and they took their pink cushions with them. When they got there, they put them on the other visitors' chairs. When they sat on them, they stuck in their bums, causing them to jump up howling in pain, making all the sick kids laugh. The doctors and nurses knew it was the little monsters that were playing tricks on people, but they didn't care because they were making the sick kids laugh. After about 4 days, little Ivy was allowed home, where she made a full recovery. End of chapter 58. Thank you for watching, guys.